welcome to our knowledge session, and the session is about routing in Next.js. I'm not sure how many of you know this routing stuff, but just brief. I mean, this is just a mapping of your application URLs to some specific, let's say, folder or file location within that code base or the solution. Okay, that's the overall gist. And does anybody know why we call these route? No? Okay. Let me explain you. Okay. When you hit any browser, okay, you generally type some URL. It is called Uniform Resource Locator. So with respect to that request, server means web server has to serve some page. Okay. And the request that you are sending from your browser, that will hit some location on that server, and server will route this request to some particular resource. Resource means in terms of, let's say, web pages, this would be some web page. Okay, kind of a page that you see on the browser. Okay, and that's why this request take a particular route, and we configure this route within that, let's say, code base. This kind of a request, if you send, let's say, request of that particular page, or let's say the URL, that will land on a particular, let's say, location. And this is the job that is being done by your framework as well as your browser, or sorry, this web server, okay, to serve your request. And that's why this request will take a particular route and will hit or get some, let's say, a page. And if, let's say, there is no page, server will give you this no resource available kind of. Okay, and that's why we call it route. Okay, so with respect to all these kind of a requests, we need to figure and find out what should be the proper route in that code base, so that all those requests can be served properly. Okay, so this is the overall brief, but here we'll be discussing about how we implement route using Next.js framework. Okay, and Next.js framework is, again, this is again a SP based framework that works on top of React component, and now this is slightly enhanced. It is called now framework. You get some, let's say, pre-built functionality by default when you start using Next.js framework. Okay, so now Saurav will walk you through how to, let's say, start with routing in Next.js, and maybe that will follow by
Yeah.
one, let's say, practical demo. Okay, and maybe we can take your queries then after. Okay, over to you, Saurabh and Anuj. Thank you. I'll take a back seat now.
Okay, thank you, Neeraj. Hello everyone. I am Anuj, and with me, Saurabh will give the knowledge on routing in Next.js. So, before starting the session, we should know the knowledge certificates. Uh, Join the session 5 minutes prior to the session start time. And second is feedback. Make sure to submit constructive feedback for all the sessions, as it is very helpful for the presenter. And third one is silent mode. Keep your mobile devices in silent mode. Feel free to move out of session in case you need to attend an urgent call. Last one is avoid unwanted chat during the session. So our agenda for today will be like we will be discussing how routing works in Next.js and what are the techniques of routing in Next.js. That will be like index routing, nested dynamic, and nested dynamic. And at last, we will be seeing the demo part. Okay, so let's start with the how routing works in Next.js. So Next.js enables routing in your app by using the file system based routing. So what is file system based routing? Let me explain. Suppose in your project folder there will be an src folder in which there will be a subfolder named as pages. Okay, so inside of pages folder, when we create a file or folder, it works as a route. Okay, so like here also, when a file is added to the page directory, it's automatically available as a route. And we can use it to define the most common patterns we will see in the demo part. Okay. So coming to the next part, that is index routing. So what is index routing? Let me explain through this image. Okay, So if you take a look at the project structure, you will see an index.js inside of pages folder. So this is the pages folder and this will be the index.js. So if you want to access this index, you can access it by this out. Like here you can see like pages is the folder part and index.js is the file. So if you want to access this route, we will be accessing by just giving the like slash or nothing. Like we can't call it we can't like get the details of index.js by writing slash index. Okay, so we will be accessing by this only. And let's take another example. Suppose pages is the folder part, blog here blog is the subfolder in which index.js is a file inside a blog folder. Okay, so if you want to access the blog file, so we will be like accessing it by slash blog. Okay, so this is all about the index routing part. So next is the nested routing. Here, next, here is the like as the word suggests, like nested, we can create multiple subroutes inside the root directory. It is basically a route within another route. Like a nested route allows you to have a parent component that controls the rendering of the child component. Like it's an route within route, so like it's given the name as the parent and child of the component. So let's explain by example. Suppose in the pages folder, there is a subfolder named as blocks. Okay. In the pages folder, there is a subfolder named as blocks. And inside of this block folder, there are three files. That is, first is index.js, second one is first.js, and second one is second.js. Okay. So like if we want to access the blocks part, blocks index.js, we will like access it by dash blocks and like if you want to access the first.js file inside the blocks folder, so we will be access it by slash first, and like same for the second. So this is the nested routing part where we can give a route within another route. Okay. So the next will be the dynamic routing part. Like in dynamic router, we just pass parameters to get the desired data from the server. It means Next.js allows us to define dynamic routes in the app using the square brackets. Here you can see the square brackets. So instead of setting a static name on your pages, we can use a dynamic one. So let's take an example here. This is the pages folder here, and like inside the pages, there's a post subfolder, and this inside a post subfolder, there's a named as slug inside of a wrapped with a square bracket. So whenever we want to give a dynamic route to any folder or a file, we just use a uh, like a, square bracket. Okay. So what square bracket do is it will give the dynamic route. So if you want to access it, like I want to access this file, slug.js file, we can give any name like here slug hello we can give any name. So like if you want to access this file, how will I access? So first I will access by blog.hello world. Like here I can like if I give hello or world or any name here, it will redirect me to this slug.js part. Okay, so this is what dynamic routing do. Uh, like on the next example, here you can see username is read with a square bracket, so so it is a dynamic part, but it is not .js. It means it is a folder. So like if you want to access setting.js, which is inside of a dynamic folder. Okay, so here I will be first going to the inside of the folder where I can give any name to access this and or like slash settings we will get the content of this part. Okay, so the last part will be the three dot all. So it means it will catch all the route which will be given. Okay. Suppose for example here you can see that there are three dots and then the name of the file. So if you want to access it, we will access it by like slash post, or like we can, like if we have given 2001 10 React.js or like anything, it will catch all the route here and it will show the contents of this slug.js part. So this is all the dynamic routing part, and like if anyone have any question, they can ask it. Do we have any questions?
Guys, do we have any questions?
Can you explain the last point like pages slash post then dot all dot
Uh,
js? What it means that suppose I have uh, a pages folder, and in pages folder I have another three folders, right?
okay.
Uh, now suppose I want to access React.js. Uh,
Like
I think uh,
like I will explain
like
again.
in post folder there is a another folder named as React.js. Now I want to access the content which is inside the React.js. So can we access it through that?
Yeah, sure. You're saying that inside the post folder there will be a React.js folder, and we have to access the content of the React.js folder, right?
Yes.
So we will access it by like slash post slash react.js, and we have to give the index.js file inside the folder of the React. So then we can access the content of the React.js part. It
Oh,
is clear.
yes, yes.
Okay. So do we have any other questions? Hmm, I guess no. So let's move forward. Next one is the nested dynamic routing. So we have like discussed earlier, like what is nested and what is dynamic. So let's add both of the topic. Yes, like in the nested dynamic route means having a nested route within a dynamic route. So like here, I will explain it by example here. Okay, so suppose there is a product folder. Okay, so inside product folder there is a dynamic folder named as product ID. Okay, and inside of product ID folder there is one index.js file, and one is a folder which is named as review. Okay, so I will I will again tell you, product ID is a folder which have a one index.js file and one review folder, and inside review folder there is a dynamic review id.js. Okay, so like if you want to access the product id content, okay, that index.js file, so we will access it by calling it as a product, first the folder name product, and then we can give a like id of any product of any, like 1 2 3 4, and it will give the contents of the index.js file. So now, we have got the details of the product one details part. Now, if we want to access the review ID part, what we will do, we will first go with the slash product. Then we will give the product ID because it is a subfolder of product. So we will give the product ID, which can be anything, and then we will give the subfolder review, the name of the folder which is review here, and then the ID. The ID can be anything. So then we can access the review id.jsx part here. So that's how nested dynamic routing works. Like this is all about the the routing part as a theory. on the next part, we will show the demo. So before that, if anyone have any questions or query, they can ask.
So guys, actually, just to sum this up, actually there are multiple variations when you'll be dealing with routes, okay, or maybe the folder structure and file structure in your solution. So Next.js is very strong in this area. And if let's say you define your routes properly, then half battle will be won. I mean by this way, if you follow this strategy, okay. And if we go out of this track, maybe there might be certain other ways to do it, but that is more to add some manual stuff. Like there are logically you can, let's say with the JavaScript, you can add some dynamic routes as well through logic, right? With the JavaScript, but still this is inbuilt feature provided by Next.js. If you follow this strategy, there's nothing more left in terms of dealing with this routing or that navigation, right? So these are the easiest way. Just follow this theoretical concept of routing of Next.js and just enjoy your architecture. This is pre-built. I mean, you need not to do anything apart from this. This will cater all the use cases that come under this organizing your page, folder structure, blah, blah in your solution. Right? Yep. Maybe more Saurabh can explain using
Yeah.
some demo. Yep.
Yeah, guys. So don't just worry. We will be seeing the demo, and I hope it will be more clear to you that how we can implement routing. So let me just share my screen. Anuj, you can just stop sharing. Yeah, thank you.
Uh,
So is it visible to all guys?
yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Anuj. So let's just create a folder first for the demo. So I am naming a folder as demo here, and we will open the demo folder through the command line itself. We will create our next app here, as we have learned in our previous session that how we can create a next app. So we will be using the command npx create next app, and let's name it as routing demo. It is asking me, do you want to include TypeScript? Yes. No, 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 no. And the app is now getting created. Until it is getting done, let's see this thing. So earlier, what was there in the React, that when we want to implement routing in React, so what are the things that we have to do? So first of all, we have to install a third party package, that is React router. Then we have to create a route.js file to configure all the routes. So for each route, you have to create a component, you have to export it, and then you have to import it into the route.js file. And then for each new route, you have to pass it with a path property. So these are the heavy liftings that we have to do in React when we are dealing with the routing. But Next.js made it easy. Next.js follows the file-based mechanism system. So whatever you add a file in the pages folder of the project, it is automatically become available as a route. So I hope the app is now created. Yeah. So let's just move into the app now. So for routing purposes, this is the only folder that is responsible to handle all the routing scenarios in the Next.js. So here we have the API folder. We don't need it. So we will be deleting this folder. And this is the index.js file. So if I run npm run dev, so you can see here, this is the home page that is getting rendered by default. So where it is coming from? It is coming from this index.js file. So Next.js, as Anuj explained you, the index routing. So when you have a index.js or tsx file in your pages folder, it is automatically served as the home page, the root route of your app. So if you want to change the home page, either you can edit this component, or you can simply do one thing, just delete this file and create your own index.js file here. Let me create the home page, the very first thing. So I'm creating the home page for the app, and now my home page is ready. So if you now check the browser, you can see the home page. Let me add it as a H1 so it is more visible to you. So now you can see the home page is ready, as we have created the index.tsx file here within the pages folder. So by default, this particular component or page is served at the root route, that is localhost 3000. Now here comes a point that our website will not only have the home page but also a few other many pages or components. So what we can do in that scenario? So let's consider a scenario where we are having a website with 3 pages for now, like a home page, a about section for the website, and the services that we offer. So how we can display the about and services? So you just simply have to create a file named as about.js .tsx, and this particular file will be available as /about to the localhost 3000. It automatically becomes a route. So let me just create the functional component here, about, create it as h1 about page of website. And now when I go to localhost 3000 and hit /about, you can see the about page is here. So the route, implementing a routing in Next.js is quite simple. You just have to name the file or folder with that particular route name, and that will be automatically available as a route to you. Now we also have a services for the website. So we will create a new file as services.tsx. Now if I hit localhost 3000/services, you can see the services page is here. So in this way, you can create a route for your app, for the application or the website that you are building. And the concept for index.js is quite simple. Whenever you have a index.js in the pages directory itself, it will be it will be rendering the root route, whatever component you have in that particular page. Here, in case the home page. Now let's talk about nested route. So before going into the nested route, let's think of a scenario like here we have pages named services. Now we might be offering some of the services to our clients or somebody who visit the page. So we need to have just for a situation now. Consider we are offering 2 services. Either you can download or upload for now. So we will need to create a route where we will be having localhost 3000/services and whatever service it is, whether downloading or uploading. So /downloading or /uploading. So how we can create that particular nested route here? So to create a nested route, just create a new folder named services, and within the services folder, just create a file. Our first service is, just let name it as first service only .tsx. We will be creating the functional component. Let's make it as h1. And our first service is downloading. So now this particular first service will be available as a nested route of services. So let's check it in the browser. So we have services. Now if we write as first service, here you can see the nested route for services, that is first service, is now here. So this way we can implement the nested route. We also offer second service as a uploading service. So we can just create the second file here, like second service .tsx. I will just copy this out of, let's create the functional here. So we are offering the second service is uploading. Now this particular service will also be available as a nested route for services, this particular one. So if I write here second service, so you can see the second service is uploading, right? So the second service here is uploading. Now you can see here the nested route for the services are listed here in this particular services folder. The first service and the second service, but the main service page is listed in the pages folder itself. Isn't it good to just segregate all the services at a single point, so that at some point of time we might not fall into the confusion that where is our services and where is our about. So for that, what we can do is we can simply delete these services from here and just create a index.js file here. And now, so it's not only the index.js file in the pages folder itself, but whenever you create a index.js file in any other directory that is within the pages directory is also served as the root route for that particular directory. So if I am creating it as here services, service page, now this particular services will be available as here only. So if I just go to the localhost 3000/services, you can see the service page is still there. So this is the way you can segregate all your combining concerns in a single directory. If you are having like services, if you are having nested routes in about, in some other pages of the website. So just to create the index route, just to create the home route, you can create an index.js file, and whatever routes fall under that, you can create the file name for that route. It will be simply rendered as the nested route here. Now, as we have learned the nested route, how we can implement it, let's just move on to the dynamic routes. So for now, I'm deleting or just leave it here only. So what is dynamic routing? Now, just let me create a new file first, product.tsx. So we have created a product page for our website. Let's just see it here. So we have services here. Now if we write the route as product, you can see the product page here. You can see the product page is here. So now if I change it as H1, it will be more visible to you guys. Let's just make it a H1 now. So we have a product page. Now think of a website like Amazon where we have over 2 crore plus products. So in that case, we can, like if we are having 3 to 4 products, we can create the nested route for it. It is quite easy, and we can just simply render those particular nested routes whenever a user want to view any of the 4 products. But what if we have a website like Amazon where we are serving in the product list page as 2 crores plus products? So in that case, it is not feasible and not optimized to create 2 crores plus nested routes. So for that purpose, for that scenario, we use the concept of dynamic routing, where we will be just passing the product ID and we will get the desired product detail page for that. So let's implement the dynamic routing. So I will be creating a folder as product here, and we will simply delete, just copy it, and we will simply delete this particular product page from here. And we'll create a index.js file here, and we just saw in the nested routes. So So we have created the product page, and it will be still visible here. Nothing is changed. Now we want to create a dynamic route. So for dynamic route, Next.js follows a convention of using the square brackets. So for a file, you have to use these square brackets and whatever ID, like I can name it as ID here, but it will be more feasible to write product ID as we are expecting that. So we will just use the square bracket and name whatever ID will be coming, whatever the dynamic query that will be coming. So we will use that name and just name the file like this. Now I am creating a functional component for here. Like this is my product detail page. Let's just name it as product detail. Remove it. Just name the h1 as product detail page here. Now let's come to the browser. Now I have product page and I want to see the very first product details. So I will just simply pass the product ID as 1 here, and it will give me the product detail page for that. Even if you pass here as 5, the product detail page will be there. Even 100 or 1000, the product detail page will be there. So you just need to pass the ID for that particular product and you will get the detail page for that. For now, we have the static content here and we are not in a mood to get convinced that the dynamic part is working. So let's just do it now. So to get the content changed or to get the whatever ID is passed in the URL, Next.js gives us a hook name as use router. So we will import that hook here, use router from Next.js, and this use router hooks give us a router object here. So we have the router object now. Now the router object have a object named as query from where we can get the product ID, whatever is passed into the URL. So I will be naming is as const product ID is equals to router dot query dot product ID. Okay, sorry, it's a hook, so it must be called. So we have the product ID here. So now we are displaying the product detail page for product, and here I am adding that product ID. Now you can see the change. So the product detail page for product 1000. Now if I change it to 100, the detail page for 100, and if I change it to 5, the detail is for the product 5. Also, it is not like you always have to pass number here. If I pass here as shoes, it will give you the product detail page for product shoes. So it's not a hard and fast rule that you have to use numbers only. You can pass anything that will be a dynamic to call the APIs or to get the data from somewhere. So this way we can implement the dynamic route. Now I have a question for you guys. You can see here, like when we have passed the shoes here, it is giving me the product detail page for product shoes. Okay. Now let's just create a new file named as shoes.tsx and just create the functional component for now. Get the h1 shoes detail page. Now, can any one of you tell me that what will be rendered on the browser if I type localhost/product/shoes? Whether this one, where we are passing the dynamic IDs and we were getting the details, or this particular component that is only showing the detail for the shoes. Any one of you guys, can you answer this question? Am I audible?
Yes.
So can anyone if you answer? What will be rendered on the browser? The source component itself or the product detail page?
I think source component.
And can you tell me why? As we have already seen, when we are passing the source as a dynamic ID, we are getting the product detail page. Then if you are saying that the source detail page will be rendered on the browser, then my question will be why?
Because of dynamic routing.
Sorry.
Because of dynamic routing.
So dynamic routing is implemented here, and for whatever you said, for that we must be seeing this page only, as we are passing the source here as a product ID. How would we getting the source detail page? Okay, let's just not complicate it. So we will be getting the source detail page here, and I will tell you why we are getting it. So Next.js, however is implemented, is smart enough to do the differentiation. When you create a route, when you create a dynamic route, and if you pass a dynamic ID to that particular URL, Next.js first searches for a static route directly, if there exists a static route. So in this case, when you pass the dynamic ID as source, it first searches for the static route that we have here, and it found it. So it will simply display that particular static URL to you, that particular static component to you, and it will not go into that dynamic ID component. And if it doesn't found it, then it will go to the dynamic part. So that's why earlier it was displaying this product detail page for SUSE, and now he is able to find the direct route for this. So he is displaying this. So you can have a direct route within a dynamic route folder. Here we are using both. We are having the dynamic route itself and SUSE the static route itself. Still, if you pass it here as 1 or 5 or 10, you will be getting the product detail page on. So this is the dynamic routing. Now let's now move to the last one, the nested dynamic routing. For explaining the nested dynamic routing, let's consider a scenario like you have, just take it this example only. You have a product list page from where you go to the product detail page, and you have seen in the website, the e-commerce websites where you have seen the customer reviews there, that is listed in the product detail page itself. Now, if I want to check out the single reviews by the user, by clicking on the reviews, I want to check out the review 1 or whether review 2. So that will be dynamic nested routing, where the dynamic part is nested. So how we can implement that and how we can achieve that? So for that, let's just create one thing. So here we are having the detail page itself, the dynamic routing for the product page itself, and the source. Let's just delete it for now. This was just for the explanation purpose of the static. So now I will be creating a new folder here as review. And since we do not want any kind of static routes, any kind of pages that needs to be displayed on the review route itself, so I just don't need to create the index.tsx file here. I will simply create the dynamic routing for review, and I will taking it as review ID here and .tsx. Now let's just create the functional component for the review. Let's name it as review detail. Remove this one and add an H1 that says review detail page. Now, if you hit localhost 3000 / product / 1 or 2, whatever the product ID you want, and /review / whatever the review ID you want to see, so this particular page will come in that scenario. Let's just check it. So we have the product and we have the product ID itself. Now I will be tapping review /1. Did I miss something?
You write 100 there. after product. I think you should in the URL you should remove it.
Yeah. Got it. So it will be like one here itself. No, it's getting
No,
confused.
no, no. 100. Please remove 100. Then review. Then slash one.
Yeah. So this one, but this is not the way it is meant to be. Okay, am I doing something wrong here?
No, this looks fine, Saurabh, because there's no dynamic folder as such in between.
Yeah.
So 100 will not work.
Yeah, okay, got it.
Product slash view slash product
Review
ID
slash
employee,
one.
right?
Yeah. Got it. So this way you can nest the dynamic part of a routing. So this was all from the routing in the Next.js. However, there is one thing that I left. So let's just cover that also. So this is the way we achieve the route using this URL. But in the real scenarios, we will never be going to hit through the URL the different routes. We will be having it through the UI. So let's just do it. So here we are having our services page itself that says index. Now I'm creating here a button that says go to first service. And since is built on top of React, it's a React framework, so we will have to have a common parent element for both those. Now I want to go to the first service page. So we'll import that only the use router hook from the next router that give us the router method, sorry, the router object.
Sorry to interrupt. We have
Yeah.
just 1 minute left. Okay.
Yeah. I will be completing so fast, Neeraj.
Okay.
And we just have so the router object itself gives us a method that is called push. So we will just simply use the on click handler here, and where we can just call the function like this, and we can use the router dot push, and we can pass the services slash first service, the URL where you want to land. It's the first service, right? So when we go to the services section, here is the services page and we have the button. So when we click on this button, so we go to the first service. So in this way you can implement it in the real scenario. And I hope we are running out of time. So that's all from the routing side. I hope you guys understood it. And if you have any further questions, please do reach out to me and I will be happy to help you. Thank you.
Yes, and Saurabh, guys, thanks again for joining, and do share your feedback. Okay, don't miss that. We'll come up with more session and we'll plan accordingly, right? Thank you. Bye bye for now.
Thank